Okay, let's talk about this. You guys have been asking about this for the last week. We, Playsaurus, developers of Clicker Heroes and Clicker Heroes 2, are getting shaken down by patent trolls for using virtual currency in our game. GTX Corp, owners of patent 7177838, claims that we're infringing on their patent for using electronic tokens. They assume they mean rubies. They are offering to let us pay a bargain $35,000 license fee to avoid costly litigation. We were given 10 days to respond. I believe their claims are completely meritless and their behavior to be abusive and terribly unethical. As I am a major owner of Playsaurus, I see this as a personal attack, and the cost in my time and well-being has already been significant and draining. It is a shame that the United States legal system can't provide a quick and easy way for us to punish them for these actions. I believe it is unethical on our part to pay any negotiated amount which serves to encourage the behavior of trolls with bogus claims. So if pressed, I will take the matter to court and see it to the end. We have retained a law firm to assist and represent us if necessary. Playsaurus is a 100% privately owned organization, and we are not beholden to outside investors. We absolutely refuse to negotiate license fees with patent holders who make bogus claims. You can see everything in the PDFs below. I have included our response written by my good friend Miguel Bombach from Perkins Coie, describing to GTX how their claims are completely meritless. The history of the patent is long. It was used by several different companies who owned it to shake down countless major institutions about 10 years ago. A more recent development is that they are threatening smaller companies who typically don't have the resources to defend themselves. What they're asking for is $35,000, about half a year's salary for one of our employees. I am concerned they may be preying on a lot of other small studios in a final attempt for them to profit off this bogus patent, which has about 2 years left on it. I believe they are targeting smaller organizations now because recent developments in patent law have made bogus patents like these much easier to fight, but only if you have the resources and money to properly prepare the legal challenge. If they were to go after larger organizations, the patent could be easily challenged, but smaller orgs like ours can't afford to go through that process easily. Their letter to us looks like this. Law firm represents GTX Corp., facilitating acquisition of electronic tokens by consumers, payment platform, violation of intellectual property rights, $35,000. Then they have a patent here. The patent is for methods and apparatus for conducting electronic commerce using electronic tokens. The electronic tokens are issued and maintained by a vendor which also provides products and services that can be purchased or rented using the electronic tokens. This is from like a kind of a, not a movement, it's horrible, but it's from an era about 10, 15 years ago where when the internet got started, there were a whole bunch of like methods patents, procedure patents, like we're going to do the same thing we've always done in commerce, but now we're going to do it on the internet, and we're going to patent that as a completely new and novel process. It was not novel, but patents are not granted that way. Patents are evaluated for whether they meet certain requirements, and then the applications are granted. I don't know all of the details. Some patent attorney like Blackleaf could go into it more. But the point is, some of these patents were granted prematurely or while they're a little bit too broad. And so companies who own these patents can send them to smaller victims, and they can assert their alleged rights and say, look, if you don't pay us a relatively small amount of money, then we will go to court over this patent, and you won't be able to defend yourself, and you'll lose more than a small amount of money defending yourself even if you win. So just pay up. They've done it as a demand letter this time instead of as a lawsuit, so they're not even open to a counterclaim. Playsaurus would still have to go to court against them in a separate proceeding. This is just the demand letter section. So this company is hoping that the lawsuit won't have to be filed. However, they are still threatening it because they've already drafted it. This is something that I've done as a plaintiff's attorney: is you draft the lawsuit and claim that it's ready to go. The trouble with doing this is that you've now shown your hand, and I can start preparing defense documents before it's ever filed. I have extra time to respond. Great. So their response, I think, is probably what we should go over. Dear Mr. Jacobs, this is coming from Miguel Bombich at Perkins Coy. I write in response to your letter to Playsaurus. Clicker Heroes does not infringe your patent claim, nor are the patent claims valid. Your letter includes many false assumptions. The claims of the 838 patent are directed towards a server. Clicker Heroes, in contrast, is client software. Your letter emphasizes the alleged novelty of the server and its applicability to the claims in many instances, and your allegations assume that Playsaurus operates a server that performs the recited routines of Claim 27. Upon information and belief, the Playsaurus server includes a computer having at least one processor that executes software stored in a memory, the software including one or more programmed routines. But this assumption is incorrect, and the 838 patent is clearly not infringed. Claim elements directed to server routines cannot be satisfied by client software. This is most evident in Exhibit B of your letter. Paragraph 36 illustrates the sale of rubies, but the software that allows the sale is client-side. The claim also requires that the server maintain a database entry and emphasizes that the only manifestation of the tokens is the database entry. Clicker Heroes, however, stores rubies on the client device. Playsaurus does not track users' rubies, nor does it track how users spend their rubies. For this same reason, Clicker Heroes cannot practice any of the claim selection, authorizing, purchasing routines. Any theoretical selection, authorization, or purchase of an item is done by the client. Further, paragraph 37 illustrates a display of various items, but again, this is client-side. Your allegations are baseless. The claims of the 838 patent are directed to something entirely different than Clicker Heroes. The fact that Clicker Heroes operates client-side can easily be verified, and then explains how. Beyond your server, there are many other differences between the claims and Clicker Heroes. The claims of the 838 patent require a selection of a subset of products. Clicker Heroes, in contrast, does not download items after selection. The previous discussion of non-infringement should in no way be seen by you that the 838 patent is valid. It is not. In fact, the 838 patent is a perfect example of a patent that is subject to ineligibility under 35 U.S.C. 101. The 838 patent recites an abstract idea, issuing tokens to be used in purchases applied to the Internet and computers. See Alice Corp. versus CLS Bank. Invalidating claims directed to claims that recite the abstract idea of an intermediated settlement using some generic computers. This abstract idea is no different than using tickets to purchase drinks at a party or going to an arcade using tokens to play games. Beyond Alice, the claims of the 838 patent are invalid in light of prior art. The use of tokens to purchase in-game assets is not a new thing and is a well-recognized tool employed by game developers for decades. One of the most recognizable games is Neopets, which was launched prior to the filing of the provisional application of the 838 patent. In Neopets, users could buy and use Neocash within the game. This is clearly the same idea you have claimed to have invented with the 838 patent. Beyond games, the concepts described were well known and discussed in printed publications. It is very noteworthy that a continuation of the 838 patent, which shares the same disclosure and substantively similar claims, was abandoned by the inventor after a USPTO rejection. The USPTO felt that these references taught at least some of the below limitations. Issuing a plurality of electronic tokens from a micropayment service provider server of a micropayment service provider to a user device suitable for use in micropayment transactions. Providing a plurality of micropayment user accounts at the micropayment service provider server to the user, each micropayment user account in the plurality of micropayment accounts storing a subset of electronic tokens purchased with a different currency. Providing more micropayment stuff that we're not going to read because it's just super technical. Rather than providing substantive argument in response, the inventor appears to have conceded that his alleged invention was not novel in abandoning the 420 patent. These ideas are the same that you claim to have invented in the 838 patent. Neither of the patents were before the USPTO when it was examining the 838 patent, and it would not have issued had the USPTO been aware of them. We also believe that all mobile game developers are already licensed to the 838 patent. The 838 patent has been previously asserted against Apple and Google, and these cases appear to have reached settlement in 2009. You cannot now take that same patent and a decade later try to extract more money against developers who list their games on the Apple and Google store. Your attempt at double dipping is inappropriate. For all the reasons above, should my client need to defend itself on such a meritless claim, we will seek attorney's fees. Sincerely, Miguel Bombich. I apologize for my poor reading of that. I don't know what's going on. So that's really interesting. So that shows that Playsaurus has some teeth, and they're ready to go to court against GTX Corp. And they want to make clear that GTX Corp is not the same as other GTX Corps. There are multiple companies that go by the name GTX Corp. They think the trolls are GTX.com. That's their final word on that. So what do we think of that? Holy mackerel.
I think I don't really understand what was just said.
Yeah, so let me try and summarize, because I actually think I understand what's going on here. What happened back in the early 2000s was, I said this before, but I'm going to try and summarize this again. What happened back in the early 2000s was a bunch of companies, people, patented things that weren't necessarily patentable. The internet was new, and doing things on the internet sounded novel, it sounded new. And patent examiners are just lawyers, and lawyers are known for not always being technologically savvy. It's kind of a thing. It's actually kind of weird to find a tech-savvy lawyer, even these days. It's not that it's weird, it's just many lawyers are so focused on the law and their careers and their jobs and stuff that they don't have time to become super tech-savvy. You know, leave that to the tech-savvy people. You know, that's a niche now. So these patents would get granted because how is a lawyer a patent examiner? You can't expect the attorney who is doing the patent examining to just be like some kind of god in knowing everything about technology. I'm defending them a little bit. So they issued the patent, which was bad enough, but let's just get past it. They issued the patent. The patent is a bit abstract. It just says tokens can be substituted for money, and then those tokens can be used to buy things in game or in a server client side arrangement. And Clicker Heroes certainly has to be some kind of server client side whatever, right? Because the game has to talk to a server to exchange the money, right? The money, somebody has to verify that a credit card number got entered or something. And that's usually what? The Apple Store or the Google Store, right? So what this company is saying, what GTX Corp is saying, is that they have a patent on microtransactions in the Apple or Google Play Store or something similar, and that since Clicker Heroes uses the Apple or Google Store, or since they were accused of just no evidence, just flat out accused of having some third-party server process the transaction, which I believe is a violation of the Apple and Google Store terms. But this company is saying that they have the patent on those microtransactions, and that anyone who's doing microtransactions, which is really anyone doing microtransactions, would be subject to their patent. Now, as you saw in their response, the patent is probably invalid, one, because it's a patent on an abstract process. It's not a patent on some specific, repeatable process. Go here, do this. Use a gear this size. It's not a specific process. Use parts this size, put them together this way, and when you spin it this way, it'll work this way. It's not specific enough. It's an abstract process. Have somebody buy a token with their real money. That token becomes an in-game currency. Then they can buy items in games. That's not a patentable idea. That's an idea, but that's not a patentable idea. The Clicker Heroes response was really well written, in that it addressed both the fact that the patent itself, even if it is valid, doesn't address the Clicker Heroes model, that the patent is probably invalid under the new Alice standard, and that Apple and Google did pay licensing fees to this company, shame on Apple and Google, and therefore those licensing fees cover everything on the Apple and Google store. It wasn't just Apple and Google that had that. Those licensing fees actually covered the products that they were selling as well. So they're trying to say that the GTX Corp claim is double dipping by requesting a licensing fee from a company that is selling things through somebody who already paid a licensing fee. Get it? So does that make more sense now? Does that make it more understandable?
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's see. Blackleaf says the vast majority of patent examiners are not lawyers. Examiners all have technical degrees, but legal degrees are rare. You can find a patent attorney without being an attorney, strangely enough. They call them agents instead of attorneys, but there is no difference. Alice and the many, many cases that followed it is a legal nightmare that they are still trying to resolve. This is Blackleaf's life on a daily basis. It is very unwelcome. Like a jealous mistress.
Could the patent be challenged?
The patent could be challenged. So anyone who's using a process that could be licensed under this patent or claimed under this patent can challenge, even preemptively, I believe. You'd have to talk to your attorney about standing, but if you have either an inevitable claim, this sort of thing would put you on notice that they could claim something at any time, then you'd be able to preemptively sue them. Or if they sued you, you'd be able to make a counterclaim claiming the invalidity of their patent. And then the burden of proof is on you, though. You have to follow a legal standard for proving that their patent is invalid. And it's very expensive. It involves a legal challenge, it involves expert witnesses, and it involves patents. All three things multiply money by a lot. So, good luck. I would like to thank all of you who support this channel. This is a supporter-driven channel. We would not really exist without you. I would like to thank my $50 plus supporters for the month of March. You are DJ Gilcrease, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, The Godslain, Evie, Andy, Kyle Mudrak, John H. Anderson, Vera Mintane, and Sean McNamara. Thank you very much. We also have a number of $5 plus supporters, and like I said before, you can go to various places to support. Patreon.com/LJFrench or sponsors.org/u/law or audibletrial.com/lawfulmasses. If anyone has any questions or suggestions for stories, they're welcome to email business@lawfulmasses.com. Otherwise, I'll bring in some music and go get some dogs. What do you think? So, everybody say hi to Nico. His happy friends. What a good boy. So thank you everyone for joining me. I am Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney, and I will see you in my next video and in the next live show. I love you all. Have a great week. All right, everybody, we're out. Have a great Sunday and a great week. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Beyond Alice, the claims of the A38 patent. Wow, I'm doing great this morning. Issuing a plurality of electronic tokens from a micropayment service provider's server of a micropayment service provider. What? Issuing a I can't even read this myself. Providing a plurality of micropayment user account at... What is this? Providing a plurality of micropayment user account. A plurality without words that are plural? Rah! Providing a plurality of micropayment user account at the micropayment service provider's server to the user, each micropayment user account in the plurality of micropayment accounts. See there, it is accounts. It is a typo. Okay, I'm not nuts. I thought I was freaking nuts. I'm trying to figure out how this could be plural when there's no plural in the sentence.
Brain hurts a little
It's
bit.